Hi, math lovers. Here's a quick notes number one overview of all the topics you need to cover. We have so much going on here. We're working with fractions and decimals and percents. These are three topics that students frequently mess up from year to year. So I'm going to do a quick overview, get you started on the right track. All right, so when we're first looking at our fractions, we want to go ahead and we want to look at them in lowest terms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 10, obviously, you guys know you can look at this and know it's 2/3. You have such a great number sense, but think back to what you did before. You did 2 times 5 over 3 times 5. Your 5s fall out and you have 2/3. You're going to go ahead and do that for all your problems. 15, obviously 15 is 45 times 3 is 15. You know, you don't have to necessarily break it down to its prime factorization. You know, if I know they're both divisible by 15, a 1 goes into each, I can just go ahead and work with it there. And then of course, I have to do one with zeros in it. Right away, my zeros will divide out, 10 in the numerator and 10 in the denominator. So I have 15 over 20. You know that, you have a good number sense of 3/4. Okay, so as you work through these problems, we're just going to go ahead and use all of our previous knowledge from back in the day, put it all together. Here's a quick convert an improper fraction to a mixed number. You know, here I left the old school long division. You know that 8 is going to go into 59 7 times. So you have the 7, and then your remainder here is 3. Any time you have that remainder, you just take that 3 and put it over the divisor of 8. So that's easy peasy. And then going the other direction, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply the 6 and the 8 together. That's going to give you 42 and add on the 4. So not such a big deal. We love multiplying fractions. Multiplying fractions are so nice. You can just go straight across. A couple of things about our textbook. They go back and forth between this little X here for the multiplication. I prefer using the dot for multiplication, just my own personal preference. So a couple of ways you could go, just multiply straight across. 3 times 4, that gives you the 12. 8 times 9 is 72, and then we can reduce. Now, if you guys have the handy dandy calculators that reduce fractions, go ahead, use them. We have all the tools at our disposal this year. We have tools, we're going to use them, and we're going to embrace it, okay? Prime factorization, you can go ahead and do it that way if you're stuck. Sometimes that helps children when they're thinking about the problem in a different way. Dividing fractions, though, are a little bit different for all of us. When we divide fractions, what you're going to do is multiply by the reciprocal. Kids always say flip. I can't stand it. Don't flip. You're taking the reciprocal. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to take these 8/5 and we're going to, everything after the division sign, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the numerator becomes the denominator becomes the numerator. And there I have 15 over 32. Same thing here with divided by 10. Divided by 10 is the same thing as 10 over 1. 10 over 1, we're going to take the reciprocal and go ahead and we're going to multiply. What's much more exciting, though, is if we mix our mixed numbers into that. So look, first thing I've done is I've gone ahead and I've taken the 1 2/3 and I've changed that to 5/3. Okay, so that's a little bit fun there for you. I took the 4 1/2, which I wrote over, and I changed that to 9/2. Same thing, dividing fractions is the same thing as multiplying with the reciprocals. Then we get to the really high maintenance operation, addition and subtraction. Super high maintenance. I know nobody ever wants to do addition and subtraction because you have to have a common denominator. First one's easy peasy because I recognize I have the common denominator. I'm going to go ahead and put them together. But the second one, I don't. So I'm going to have a common denominator here of 45. I make sure I do that first. Now, I know you have calculators that can go ahead and just add the fractions together. That's fine with me. This is college algebra. We're going to use all our tools. You want to go and just put it into the calculator. That's fine. But there will be situations where you won't have a calculator to use and you'll want you to know how to do it. Okay. Subtraction, same exact thing. We're going to go ahead and subtract here. Common denominator first, And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my regular subtraction. Okay, so we have to make sure we're talking about the same thing before we go. One of the last topics for today is talking about place values. Okay, so this nice little graphic here shows you, all of your place values. Sometimes students get these mixed up. What I want you to look is it this? Okay, you see how they all have the this after them? Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. Okay, so those are a fractional part. Those are our fractional part that's less than 1. And of course, we have our whole numbers on the other side. So what you're going to think about here is writing each of these as a fraction. So all I do is count up how many spaces there are, and that's how many zeros I put in the denominator. So here I have 1, 2 spots. So my denominator has 2 zeros. Here I have 1, 2, 3 spaces. So I have 1, 2, 3 spaces in the denominator. Here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, obviously 4 zeros in the denominator. So, just go ahead, put your thinking caps on and count. Operations with decimals. Again, I have a feeling most of you will just pop this into your calculator. Not going to stop you, but remember the reason you do that. What we're going to do is we're going to take each of these. Notice how our textbook has written them horizontally. When you did this lesson back in elementary school, you were always lining up your terms. You're always writing your addition and subtraction vertically. Go back to what you know. Go back to that vertical addition, vertical subtraction, but be sure to line up those decimals, okay? Now, multiplication, again, different story. What we need to do with our multiplication is we've got to think about those decimal spots. This very first one here, I wrote this all out. 2 times 3, 2 times 9, 2 times 2. I went and multiplied everything, and then I'm counting 1, 2, a little too aggressive with my dots. I'm going to move it over 1, 2, 3 spots. So 1, 2, 3, and that's where my decimal lives in my problem there. Okay, easy peasy. Let's see, multiplying. Well, we got to get to multiplying. Okay, here we go. Multiplying and dividing by powers of 10. So notice here a little bit different. For some reason, our textbook, the little X's in the division signs did not copy over. So here I'm going to multiply by 10. So every time I multiply by 10, the number is going to get smaller. Every time I divide by 10, the number is going to get, say that again. Every time I multiply by 10, the number is going to get larger. Every time I divide by 10, it's going to get smaller. Okay, so it makes sense. If I have a candy bar and I divide it into 10 pieces, I'm going to have a small piece. But if I have a candy bar and I multiply it by 10, ooh, that's a lot of candy for me. Okay, it's a lot of chocolate. So it's obviously going to get to be a bigger number there. So you're going to move it there. Okay, writing fractions as decimals. We have a beautiful button on our calculator that's going to go from 19. It's going to take that 19 over 8. And what it's going to do is it's going to convert that into a decimal, 2.375. Now, just to show you the math that goes along with it, I'm going to do long division here. So I take that 8 and I put it into 19. I go through until I have no remainder. And that's when I stop. Over here, though, I'm going to, no matter what I do in this second problem in B, I'm going to get a remainder of 2. So what I'm going to, oops, sorry about this, kids. I got to move this. We should always remember, you should remember 2/3 is always 0.6. You know that, okay? And let's see, converting fractions to decimals. Let's see. Okay, percents. Now let's go back to what percent means. Percent comes from the Latin, which means per 100. So if I say 45%, I'm saying 45 out of 100. So as you start to look at these, I want you to, have it go through your head, out of 100. When I say 65% of people prefer Coke over Pepsi, well, I'm saying 65 people out of 100, okay? I'm not saying I have 100 people, but I'm saying if I took my proportion and I made it out of 100, it's a beautiful part about percents. So my friends, let's just take all your percents straight up and you put them right over 100. So that's exactly what I've done here, 45 over 100. You can take 25% and convert that to a decimal by just, you could do 25 over 100, which of course is 0.25. and then 9 over 100, move the decimal point over 2 spaces. Same thing going the other direction, except I know I've got a decimal. I'm going to change it into a percent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 0.57 and move the decimal over 2 spots because it's out of 100. Okay, very nice. Let's see, moving on, example 13. Gosh, this is a long one. Example 13, write each percent as a fraction. So what I did is I put each of them over 100 and I reduced. You guys can go ahead and do that. You're probably really, really good at reducing fractions at this point. And example 14, which is our last one for today, is writing fractions as a percent. Now, I really like to do this as just take whatever your fraction is and set it equal to x over 100. Back in probably Algebra 1, you're probably thinking 2/3 equals something over 100. Oops. It's a terrible spot to write that in. I'm just learning. Use my iPad. So you might use like a box. So 2/3 equals something over 100. And then what you're going to do is cross multiply that. That's not bad. Okay. So that's what we're doing today. Scrolling all the way back, making you dizzy through all the fun. Woo. Okay. So we reviewed the basic concepts of fractions, decimals, and percents.